today we have Chris Dorsey, candidate for Richmond Sheriff Department. And yes, okay, Chris, the mic is yours.
Thank you, sir. My name is Chris Dorsey. I am a candidate for sheriff in the city of Richmond. This is a open debate for all the candidates for the office of sheriff of the city of Richmond. Preston Brown and myself sent out invitations to every candidate for this office, and as you can see, no one has shown up, so we will make note of that fact, and we will move forward, and we will talk about how our administration will change the operations of law enforcement in the city of Richmond. And I thank everyone for your time. And I want to start off by saying that we have real problems in this city, and we have a out of control and corrupt government. We do not have jobs for people. People don't have enough money to pay their own bills or buy food or provide for their families. Our schools are substandard. We have a government that ignores the needs of the education of the citizens of Richmond and the children of Richmond, and use all of the money that they have in order to build expansive jails to lock up the citizens of Richmond, while closing down schools and cutting jobs and pay for people, while raising every single one of their fees and fines for utilities or parking, etc. I don't need to go into too much detail for everyone out there, because you all experience these facts on a daily basis. So I want to, at this point, introduce my campaign manager. Her name is Teddy Parham. I know Teddy from the fact that we both look into the corruption and the crime committed by government, and we expose it. We work to stop it, and very soon it will end. Teddy?
Good evening, and thank you for listening in. I want to thank Brother Brown, who is going to always be blessed, because he shares excuse me, he shares his studio, his time, his life. He shares a little bit of everything, and he's going to always be blessed. He knows thousands and thousands of people, but you all did not elect him to office because you losers didn't care, because he wanted to make a change. His brother ran for office. I believe these guys have good hearts. It's not about making money. It was about them changing this corrupt government. So the criminals won in his election. The criminals won in his brother's election. But I want to talk about the position of the sheriff. Chris Dorsey and I have been together since Occupy Richmond. He was the father of Occupy Richmond. I was the mother of Occupy Richmond, irregardless of to what anybody else says. We've been there the whole time. We care about these people like they came from our bodies. They are flesh and blood. It's getting ready to get cold. Our mayor and the corrupt city council is about making the city look pretty, spending billions and billions of dollars. You've bamboozled the Redskins. You got them here. How's the project going with the jail? From what I hear, production has stopped. It's so much. I'm going to turn this back over to Mr. Dorsey. And for those of you all that know that I'm a no-nonsense kind of person, you wonder why I fight so hard the way I do, is because these niggas drew first blood, okay? They drew first blood. and I'm calling them out. They're going down. That's right, caller. Come on, call in.
Yeah, take a caller. Hello, caller.
Yeah, it's Walt Love here. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine, sir. How are you doing?
Good. I didn't speak to CT. Is this
That's an excellent question. Actually, CT Woody, he did not show up. We have an empty chair here for CT Woody and Lamont Kizzy and Antoinette Irving, and they were all challenged. They are continuously challenged right to their faces, and they do not have the intestinal fortitude to show up and answer the people's questions. So I apologize for that. And
sir, let me ask you something. Is this radio station WCLM?
this is radio station WCLM, AM 1450. Yes, sir, that is correct.
And you're saying that Preston Brown is not available?
No. Right. Yes. Preston Brown, yeah, is not available. CT Woody is not available, and all the other candidates for sheriff's office besides myself are unavailable as well.
Are you a radio announcer?
I am a candidate for sheriff in the city of Richmond. My name is Chris Dorsey.
Yeah, I'm trying to call the radio station, and I'm wondering how you're still answering the phone.
Tell him.
Or did I dial the right number?
Okay. You're on the air. Thank you for calling. Do you have any further questions about the sheriff's race?
I see. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, caller. All right. Well, I guess at this point we can start getting into the very specific and detailed platform that we, the people, have planned to carry out when our administration takes over the sheriff's department. And first of all, as we said during the opening, our intention is to fund education, not incarceration. So we plan to fund education over incarceration. So instead of spending all of our money on building a jail, an expanded jail, and closing down schools, we plan on opening up more schools.
That's right.
And reducing the prison population in the jail, where people are in for driving on a suspended license or possession of cannabis or not being able to pay some sort of fee or fine that's in violation of the 8th Amendment,
Or
i.e.
urinating in public.
Right.
Anything.
Something has to be a crime. There has to be a party that is injured in order for there to be a crime, and an injured party doesn't pertain to not paying a parking ticket or and then losing a license and then driving around on a suspended, so-called suspended license. But I think that segues right into what the duty of the sheriff is. The sheriff's duty is to uphold the constitutions of the United States and the state of Virginia.
That's right.
Now, unfortunately, the current sheriff and the other candidates, they don't comprehend what the Constitution of the United States means. I.e., if there is a death in the jail, as a result, we got a caller coming in.
Yes.
Caller, if you'd like to ask a question, I'd love to hear from you.
Yes, I'd like to ask a couple of questions.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Mr. Dorsey,
Yes, sir.
would you be able to make sure that the inmates at the city jail to have the correct air and heat when that jail is built, or either if you get the sheriff's position? I remember some years ago that was air and heat down that jail. But,
Yes, sir.
And you was some air.
Yes, sir.
And would you be able to provide the inmates down there with air and heat so they won't suffer and have them most big fans down there that's supposed to be giving them air instead of them fans to give them air and heat. And would you be able to make sure that the pharmacy will give people their medicine, because there's been a lot of death down that jail?
Yes, sir. And I thank you. I thank you, Mr. Miller. And that gets into what we were talking about in regards to the Constitution of the United States. Now, there was air conditioner down at the jail, and it was removed, and there was $250,000 earmarked to put air conditioning units in the jail back in 2011, and that money disappeared. But what I'm saying is that will be the first thing I do, is make sure that the 8th Amendment to the United States Constitution is upheld, and that includes no cruel and unusual punishment, and keeping people without medication in 130-degree temperatures all day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which has resulted in countless injuries and many, many deaths. That is a violation of the law. So I will certainly immediately make the conditions better in regards to the temperature at the jail, not only because it's the right thing to do, but it is also the law of the land. And these deaths that result from 8th Amendment violations, they're crimes. They're crimes against the United States Constitution, and they will be prosecuted by the Richmond Sheriff's Department when I become the Sheriff of Richmond. So these deaths that Woody thinks he's getting away with just by, having the taxpayers pay millions and millions of dollars, it's not just going to be millions of dollars he's worried about that he's not paying, that we are all paying for him. He's going to go to jail for that. He's a little confused about what the law is, but I'm not.
Well, what you're saying, that it sounds good that you, would like to, to do this thing, because, as you say, it is to me, it is cruel and unjust punishment when we don't have no air.
Absolutely.
When we don't have no heat. And when the inmates are going without their medication.
And the beatings.
If you will get this thing and you are sticking by your word of everything that you're saying on this radio and people are listening, when you get it, I feel as though that the citizen of Richmond will like for you to do what you're talking about now.
My word is my bond.
That's right.
Well,
Mr.
we'll
Miller?
see, but when the election come up or who may get it or anything. But if you would do things like that, you will be saving lives, and you'll be making sure that people are getting their medication and treated like people, although they might committed a crime or whatever, but they're still human.
That is correct, and that is the law. I thank you, Mr. Miller.
You're very welcome.
Okay, we had Miss Irving to walk in. She's another contender for the race of sheriff, and I'm going to let her answer that question for Mr. Miller. Did you hear that question?
No, ma'am.
He was asking Mr. Dorsey concerning the conditions in the jail, far as temperature-wise, environmental-wise. They've been without heat for years. They've been without air conditioning for years. Where did the $200,000 go for the individual air conditioning units? We need to do a thorough investigation into this jail. I'm here with Mr. Dorsey because I believe in all people. We all have the right to draw breath in the morning. No one should give Woody or has given him that right to be the executioner. So many people die before they even go to court. They die in that jail. This is a powerful responsibility and I'm going to turn the mic over to you because the Constitution reigns. It reigns. I will fight with every breath of my body to put my candidate, Mr. Dorsey, in there because I know together we can work a plan for everyone.
Thank you. As far as the current conditions in the city of Richmond Jail, the conditions need much improvement. The hopes is that the new facility will be able to combat some of that. However, the new facility has not opened. The new facility will open sometime in 2014. Our goal is to make sure that the inmates in the facility are treated fairly, are provided with all the medical and mental health care that they need, also provided with the necessities that they need: air, heat, clothing, time, programs, and services. Our goal on our campaign is to make sure that all individuals are treated fairly. Everyone's human. Everyone's somebody's father, son, mother, sister, brother, grandparent. So we have to make sure that everyone is treated humanly. And that does come up under the Constitution as far as making sure that we are treated fairly. Because it could be any of us. It could be any of our family members. So we want to make sure that all the resources that are available to the jail that we currently have that have not been used, we want to make sure that those resources are tapped into. We want to make sure that individuals are provided with care once they leave the facility. Because if you send someone back out into the same environment that they came out of, they're just going to do the same thing. So it's going to be our job to reduce the recidivism rate. It's going to be our job to improve the citizens that come through that jail. It's going to be our job to assist with the community's out resources so that we can be sure that everyone improves and become better citizens.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you a question because I'm sitting here listening to you. Now, you said you want to treat everyone fairly, right? Now, when I was sitting in Lance Watson's church Sunday before last, I didn't see a sign that said no photography, no camera, anything. I was sitting next to Mr. Dorsey enjoying the services I always do when I go to Lance Watson. How is it, out of all those hundreds of cameras, all of those recording devices, how is it that you walked over to me during the service and just said to me in a rude kind of way, now I'm innocent, didn't see anything about no photography and tell me to cut my camera off. And I'm going to tell you why I had that camera on. I work with hundreds and hundreds of homeless and down and trodden people. Your boss knows that. Lance Watson knows that. I've talked to him about that on several occasions. Now, to be fair, wouldn't it have been better than for you to come all the way over there in front of all of those people and embarrass me with an attitude and tell me just cut the camera off? How, if you're going to be fair, I could understand it if you let everybody know, okay, there would be no photography. Just because it looks like a phone, they are recording too. I just want to know how you're going to deal with that situation because that really hurt me. I'd never met you before, but like I said, when you got 1,000 cameras, he's so powerful. He used to go to my church. I know him. That hurt me for you to say that to me because you didn't say it to everybody. You came off the stage and walked across the floor and said to me, the camera cut it off. I'm just talking about being fair.
Ma'am, I'll be more than happy to address that situation, but that is not what this particular hour is for. But
okay.
I will discuss that with you, and I apologize if that did anything to you, but there is something written in the bulletin. We do have social media, but for the actual videotaping, and we received several texts and emails inside of the church that state that you were videotaping. And I came over, I asked you, please stop taping. You cannot tape in here, and that's what I said to you. And it was brought to my attention.
Okay.
Okay.
Now let's get back to the topic.
Mr. Dorsey, go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to interject here and start talking about fairness and the current system that you and all the other candidates serve in or have retired from, and the unconstitutional nature of the whole so-called justice system. How many people that you incarcerate now and that are incarcerated in the Richmond City Jail, how many of those people received a constitutional trial?
Okay, well, sir, I don't work in the city jail.
No. In the jail that you work in and in the city jail. I mean, I know what percentage of people incarcerated in your jail and incarcerated in the city jail get a constitutional trial. I'm just asking you, how many people that are incarcerated in the jail that you work at receive a constitutional trial?
Well, I don't set the limitations or the guidelines for anyone that is incarcerated that have to go before the court. That is done by the court system and the justice system.
Do you swear an oath to uphold the Constitution?
I swear to uphold the Constitution. I swear to uphold the laws, and I swear to treat everyone fair.
Do you know what a constitutional trial is?
I am a Christian. I am a fair and honest person. I do the very best that I possibly can with the job that I've been entitled to do. I have to go by the guidelines that are set. The main thing when you're dealing with people that are incarcerated is that you communicate with them, you help them to understand what's going on with them, and you try to guide them through the process as smoothly as it possibly can for them and their family members. That's what we do inside of the system. Is the system 100%?
Do you think the system is constitutional?
Is the system 100%? We can't say that it is. As we look at those things that are happening in the world today,
is there anything about the system that's constitutional?
Everyone is not going to agree with or abide by the things that are in the system. However, we have to do the very best we can to ensure that people are treated like people. Are changes needed? Yes, that's why you and I are running. Because we feel that there are changes that are needed within the system and within the jails itself. We feel that that's a fair and honest statement. That's why we're running. We're tired of what's going on. So we want to make change in the government. We want to make change in the local government. Because it starts locally in order to get to the state and the federal level, but we have to start it here, and that's why it's only fair that people like us that have opinions about things and have feelings about things, it's only fair that we run so that we can make a difference. It's up to us to make a difference.
So I guess the answer to that question and what I'm getting at and how we're going to enforce the Constitution, because everyone who's running for office and becomes sheriff or works inside the government swears an oath to uphold this document right here. I'm holding a copy of the United States Constitution, and Article 3 of the United States Constitution says that jury trials are the only constitutional trials. And what I see in the Henrico County courts run by the Henrico Sheriff and in the Richmond courts that is processed and run by the Richmond Sheriff's Department is that less than 1%, or excuse me, less than 2% of the people that go through the John Marshall Court Building or the Henrico County courts don't get a jury trial. They're railroaded into being warehoused in jails that all my opponents serve, and many, if not a majority, are in for being a victim in the so-called war on drugs. How many people are incarcerated in the jail you work in for simple possession of a so-called illicit substance, and how are we going to arrest people when you and others can't keep drugs out of the jail in Henrico or the jail in the city, and in most cases the sheriff's deputies are smuggling that in? I think we have a phone caller, and we can get the answer after the caller.
Yes, how y'all doing?
Hi.
Good, thank you.
Okay. I guess I want to pose a question to both of the candidates, and both of y'all are running for the sheriff. What impact or change do you think that either you would make to the way that the system are now? I think that if one person said what they're going to do and the other, then we can get a difference in what's going on. And both of y'all are running, and what difference that you would bring to this process. As well as do to stand up to constitutionally. One point you always stick to, and I appreciate that, is that you feel that the law enforcement part of the sheriff, you would not enforce in the city of Richmond.
Yes, sir.
You know constitutionally in the city of Richmond, that is not one of the responsibilities of the sheriff's office. It's only handling the jail, court security, and civil process. So those options is not there because it does not do law enforcement. But again, each of you, if you can convey what impact you will bring or changes you will make on the city jail if you elect sheriff.
Okay, I'd just like to correct a couple things. The sheriff swears an oath to uphold the Constitution, as does everyone in government. The sheriff is the top constitutional elected law enforcement officer in the city of Richmond, and under the U.S. Constitution, a local sheriff is the top law enforcement officer in a locality. And what I can say is the sheriff's department, they enforce the unlawful foreclosures on behalf of the 1% and the corrupt banks. So without the sheriff's department showing up with guns, there will be no more foreclosures. We will not do that anymore. The judges, who I am confident in my legal standing over top of, because I comprehend the law, I don't think my opponents comprehend the law. And if they do, they're acting outside of the law knowingly. I comprehend every aspect of the law, and what I'm saying is if a judge wants to convict somebody of possession of cannabis and the police want to arrest somebody for possession of a little nickel bag of something, then they can arrest and convict, but the sheriff's department will not incarcerate. So, you know, people can say and do what they want, but again, I comprehend the law, and I'm confident in my legal standing over every single judge in this town. And what I'm saying is, if every other person wants to shred the Constitution and wants to disregard the rights of the American citizens, that's on them. But I'm not going to do that. So I'd like the people of Richmond, they're in control under law of the United States and Virginia, as people can see on my platform, which I don't see anybody else have a platform for what they're going to do when they get in. All power is vested and derived from the people. So it doesn't matter what some sort of corrupt system sets up, some sort of unconstitutional system says I can and cannot do. All power is vested and derived from the people. And the sheriff's the top law enforcement officer, so I'm going to do what the people tell me, and I'm going to uphold the Constitution.
As far as the changes and the ideas that we have for going into the sheriff's office, yes, the sheriff is the top law enforcement officer in the particular locale, and 99% of the time when there's a police department and a sheriff's office, what they do is they make an agreement to ensure that we can conquer all the issues that are going on within that jurisdiction. However, you know, once this is all put in place, we can determine what the needs are for the citizens of the city of Richmond to ensure that we can keep the citizens that are incarcerated, give them the fairness that they are to have, as well as the citizens outside of the facility, to make sure that the citizens are taken care of. That what we want to do is make sure that people are treated human. We want to make sure that we can stop the unwarranted deaths that have been had at the city of Richmond. We want to make sure that those individuals that need treatment, whether it's medical treatment or mental health treatment, we want to make sure that those individuals receive that treatment to ensure that they can provide a more productive life. We want to make sure that they have the resources that they need when they get out. Yes, we want to reduce the amount of people that are currently incarcerated, because we have a new facility that's being built that's already going to be overcrowded on day one when it opens. How do we deal with that? We deal with that by trying to gain those resources within the community that can help those individuals to continue to improve as they get out of the system. As far as those individuals that are incarcerated by the judicial system, we have to make some type of connection with the judges themselves to determine what types of individuals should and should not be locked up, and how long should those terms be. Should we divert them to programs that are going to help them? We are in the business of helping people. We have
I would strongly disagree with that.
Mr. Dorsey, I didn't interrupt you while you were speaking. So what I'm saying is we have to provide those resources. Are those resources currently available?
No.
We can see that they're not. So we have to band together to make sure that those resources can be provided. We have to work hard on that. That's a strong need within the City of Richmond Sheriff's Office, and we have to make sure that we can provide those, and we have to do those by working with citizens, all of the citizens that have programs and resources available out there. We have to make sure that we provide, whether that's working with your team of people that you already have, working with the team of people that I already have. Once this election is over, we need to band together to ensure that this city is properly taken care of, whether it's the homeless, transient, rich, poor, whatever it is, we have to provide those resources for individuals to make this whole system better. There are some kinks in the system, and we have to be able to work those things out. We have to fix those. We as a people have to fix those. We can't wait for the legislators to do it. We have to do it at the bottom level and convince everyone, have everybody else to buy into what we have. And if we can get the citizens of the city and the government agents to work together to ensure that the people are number one. It's not the government that's number one, it's the people. We have to work for the people.
Okay. I'm going to give each candidate a minute to get their information because we have a program at 1. So both candidates get their information. Okay.
Again, I am Antoinette Irvin and I'm running for sheriff in the city of Richmond. I have 25 years of experience at the Henrico Sheriff's Office. I have 24 years of experience as a manager and a supervisor. I've worked hard within the system to try to improve the system. I've worked hard to work with the individuals that have been incarcerated and their family members to ensure that they can get the best possible treatment inside of the guidelines that I have. I've also worked hard to assist them in gaining resources outside of the facility. I am a college-educated student. I'm a member of various organizations. I have worked hard within the city. I've worked in nonprofit organizations. I've worked with young people within the city. And I want to make sure that everybody has a fair chance and a fair opportunity to be productive citizens.
My name is Chris Dorsey. I'm the only candidate for the office of sheriff that does not serve this corrupt system. There's more than a few kinks. This system is 100% criminal and corrupt to the core. The people who swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, as you've just heard, and has been displayed by all of my opponents, do not comprehend what the law is, and they do not help people. They only abuse people.
That's right.
All power is vested and derived from the people. It does not matter what any of my opponents say. It only matters that you go out and you vote for Chris Dorsey on November 5th. My hands will not be tied. Nobody will tie my hands. I'll be the sheriff. I'm not going to take orders from anybody but the citizens of Richmond, and the Constitution will be upheld, and everyone will get a constitutional trial and treatment before they're incarcerated in the Richmond City Jail run by the people. And I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity to address the public on this day, September 11th, the day that the Central Intelligence Agency and the Mossad carried out the false flag attacks of 9/11. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
You didn't ask her nicely to turn that camera off. I mean, that's a lie.
If you feel that way, that was not my intention.
But you lied on radio.
Like it's all right.
It's okay, but you certainly, you were angry. What did I say to you, Teddy? I was like, man, she snapped.
I said, they look like a dude up there.